Thank you very much, Jared. Welcome back once again to the casting booth here. It's 1,000,000 degrees right now.
It is extremely hot. It's like 1,000,000 degrees, which is like 45 degrees Celsius in metric.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. Just getting that conversion right, just right there. So day 9, who do we have to be going up against one another?
MC versus Nerchio. I honestly think a lot of people, especially on the Twitter and on the Twitter, my God, does that make me sound technologically unsophisticated?
It's like my grandpa
I was on
talking.
the Twitter and the Facebook and on the chat stream. A lot of people think that Nerchio is actually the favorite to win this series.
He's been looking really, really strong. Again, like I mentioned before, when we were in that groups, when we were in the opening of this bracket, he ended up recently taking a very, very convincing series off of MC at Home Story Cup 5, which MC was not particularly pleased about. So he is out for retribution here. He's out for that revenge. But Aces Nerchio looking absolutely phenomenal right now.
It was kind of weird that in the group stage, he was in the first group that we ended up casting. He went 3-2 and got first place. It was 3 3-2s and 3 2-3s. And weirdly, the 3 people that he beat were Puma, 4GG, and Inori. The people he lost to were Sort of and DeMuslim. He lost to, honestly, I think 2 of the weaker players in his group while knocking out the 3 heroes. He tends to play better the better the player he's up against.
Now MC here just looking to get ready for this game. Again, as we said before, he is not happy whatsoever with being taken out by Nerchio during Home Story Cup. He was very, very vocal about it, and as such, he is looking to bring it back here against Nerchio. And again, he's been able to, he arguably has one of the best PvZs in the world. I don't think there's any denying that his timings is just so pristine in this matchup.
He's one of the few Protosses that'll just bust out an attack, and you only find out that it's strong after it totally crushes you and you weren't prepared for it in the slightest. Nerchio, on the other hand, has this just stunning stability to his play.
Yeah.
He is one of the few players who can both do the kinds of mid-game pushes that made Stefano famous in the matchup while still not sacrificing all his late-game potential, also in the way that made Stefano famous. Stefano used to just go all in the mid-game and then lose because it didn't work. He does these huge attacks, and then they don't work, but then he has a hive and Broodlords are out, and he's able to do a big crushing push at the end.
Yeah. Now, we saw during, just over on that overlay there, that Nerchio, during qualification process, was able to take out the likes of Grubby, White Raw, and Adele Scott, which, you know, just alone doesn't say much against when you're going up against MC, but in those 3 players, there's a wide variety of styles that do come out, and MC is one of those players that is able to throw out a wide variety of styles. So it shows that Nerchio is pretty comfortable just going into this matchup on any terms whatsoever.
Well, first map's going to be on Ohana. Game is in. Spawning in the top left position. Even though he went 3-2 in his group, still one of the strongest people alive in StarCraft 2 right now. It is Acer's Nerchio. And you know, you'd imagine that people who use computers a lot are all technologically sophisticated. Acer Nerchio finally getting a Twitter account that you can follow him on @AcerNerchio, and you should get on there and tell him congrats for stepping into computer literacy.
Yeah, it's been so long. Anyway, spawning down in the bottom right-hand corner, guys, as our red Protoss. Give it up for the boss toss, SKMC! That was good. That was good.
Crowd's getting a little bit more excited as the room's slowly increasing in temperature.
Yeah, I see. There's a correlation there. I get it.
That is correct.
Nice.
It is
getting
very hot in this room.
Okay, so SKMC for now throwing down that pylon, going for his very standard opener, scouting out Nerchio, seeing what's going on. Nerchio's no stranger to early pulls to be able to say, hey, don't go for that Nexus first. But he's going for a pretty standard pull here. 14 pull going down, so acute by MC. We'll be able to scout that out. And meanwhile, just queuing up Dem Probies to be able to go for that Nexus first, or that economical Forge.
He's going to go Forge, all right?
Yeah.
All right, Kalaris, he just does it. All signs point to being able to go for a Nexus first, but Deflam, there he goes. MC always freaking does this. I'm actually getting to the point where it's so comfortable and so easy to get a Nexus first that I want to be able to climb inside MC's brain and understand his thought process without having to step through broken English.
Yeah, I mean, that would always be a hindrance if you're actually trying to convey some kind of argument. Other than that, we have Mr. MC just blocking off that hatchery. Nerchio not really being able to plant that down just yet here. Zergling's on the way, though, to be able to shoo that away. And actually, he's going to let it plant down. So, pretty good break there for Nerchio.
We see a fairly early gateway planting at 320. He does have the opportunity to do some swift all-ins if he so desires, but we only really see MC do that if he's feeling like his opponent is better than he is. The all-in styles that he likes are the one gas, just blast down the front door. I mean, you can chrono boost and spend 5 chronos on the warp gate and have it finished at 725. It's so fast, but MC right now not really doing any indicator of that. It'll all depend on whether or not we see this gas geyser go down, which, holy goodness, looks like it is.
I noticed that Nerchio actually sent a drone out to put the third down, and then he sent a successive drone to put the third down as well. The second drone got there, bumped into the hatch, and he's like, oh, there's already one here. That's all right, I'll go back home and do some mining.
Nerchio, no doubt going to be going for the... Look, everyone's just going to do something freaking normal. So what I want to ask is what abnormal thing you think each player is going to have to worry about in this game?
I wouldn't say it's abnormal from MC, but Nerchio really does have to worry about that airborne threat from MC. He always ends up going for something like that. He's able to make it work out really, really well in a lot of these PvZ situations. MC, again, we actually iterated it earlier on. He is one of the only Protoss right now that is still able to make that Void Ray aggression work where others are not.
I mean, I do like Void Ray openings. They're pretty nifty. You can do basic moves like leave the Void Ray here, and then you will never have to worry about Zerg having that Watchtower.
That's very true.
+1 attack going down. This kind of looks like MC's preparations to go for a faster Twilight Council. I say these ridiculously bold claims because I have had the treat of watching him in so many tournaments. 2 gas geysers will be going down at 6:15. I say this with 100% certainty. All right, I have 5 seconds, 5 more seconds. He will absolutely be throwing these down. Oh, crap. Oh, God, this is...
Sean.
This is difficult. Oh, God, he built a pylon. Well, let's find out what the Stalker's doing.
Meanwhile, Nerchio actually going for a rope warren at a pretty normal time here just to be able to defend himself against any kind of, 4-gate +1 aggression that would be coming along. And has he actually seen the Forge whirring away with like a Zergling poke up? I don't think he has.
He hasn't, no.
No. So he's not going to know just yet, but a robo facility on the way here for FMC. Interesting choice.
It's a late one. This does look like this would indicate an early expand, but here is the 6 minute and 15 second. That was a minute late. That's fine. But this setup from MC just looks like he wants to go for a pretty typical steal on his expansion.
Yeah, and I mean, with these macro gateways, able to just keep things going. I like the positioning of the pylons as well, just to make sure nothing absolutely crazy goes down. I mean, Nerchio is not the kind of player that's going to say, for example, quickly rush to Nidus network and then try and Nidus the back of your main anyway, but you need to take these precautions here to be able to really kind of deal with that kind of thing.
So here's the moment in time that just makes me all tickled. I love so much. These gas geysers 3 and 4, and soon enough geyser 5 over here. Zergs do not really take very often. They'll stick to 2 or 3 until the layer is close to done. But Nerchio sets himself up to be able to do a lot of really great transitions up to, oh, awesome. A lot of great transitions up to the Infestor.
Yeah, and again, Nerchio plays in a very, very Wait a minute. He's getting 3 more gateways.
Oh, and see.
Uh-oh. Are those sentries?
He's going to put a force field there.
And there's no creep spread between the main and the natural, so he's not really going to be able to notice this too quickly. Oh, he needs to clear the wall. He needs to clear the watchtower out, and he's going to walk straight into an wall.
Uh-oh. Nerchio. Now Nerchio knows.
Oh, and he even spreads creep with the Overlords. Fantastic preparation here by Nerchio in order to be able to completely shut this down.
But is it going to be fantastic enough?
Oh, he sees it. He sees it. He warps in some zealots to be able to try and tank. Meanwhile, actually,
there it goes.
There's only 3. Oh my God! Actually, there's not that many roaches up here, and he could continue to warp in if he wants to.
And there's the next round warping. There's those 3. The initial set. Soon enough, we're going to be able to get a little warping around of their own. MC needs to throw down another force field. Oh! Here come the drones.
This is very, very important here for Nerchio. He needs to clean this up, and if he does, he knows how far MC will be behind. So pulling these drones really, really pivotal here, as so many roaches trapped down here at the bottom of this ramp. And look at that micro to be able to pick up those sentries into that warp prism, still warping in some zealots, getting 9 worker kills in the process.
Nerchio still gets those force fields down nice and clean and clear. But I actually think Nerchio's going to be fine. Nerchio's doing an excellent job microing. He's very close to having roach speed. More roaches are out in his main. He just needs to micro them well.
And I mean, how does MC transition out of this? I mean, he's warping in more sentries, yeah, so he's going to be able to continue to block this off. But actually, with those, I mean, Nerchio's in a little bit of trouble right now. He's throwing spines down, and he doesn't have the lava in his main to be able to continue holding this. He's just going to go for a full-blown counterattack.
Well, he built up enough roaches to be able to pull it off, and now with all the sentries in the main base, Nerchio's realizing, well, hey, there better not be that many sentries back home, but there are a decent number. But, oh, they still get a little bit too far up. He's going to be able to target fire the cannon, actually pushing those roaches closer to the cannon. He takes it down. Meanwhile, in the main base, Nerchio's cleaned up the push with some hatched roaches.
Oh, MC needs to keep very close eye on these sentries as well. It can be very difficult to keep them alive.
No.
And there's roaches floating in from either side here to be able to keep going. And he does break the front there of MC.
And Nerchio now building as many spines as he can, has this pack of roaches marching down, much like we saw Slivko pull off against, sort of. Probes falling en masse. More roaches springing into action. Some crazy micro going on in the main base. But the natural expansion will have to be sacked for MC unless he wants to do almost all warp-ins over here.
He needs to get this Immortal out so quickly. He's chrono boosting as furiously as he can do. Right now, these roaches tearing up a lot of what we're seeing here in the natural. And he does eventually evacuate the main here, or with those sentries from Nerchio's main. So now it's still looking a bit even. I mean, there's still 37 workers to the 46. I suppose it's just the fact that Nerchio does have so much lava to be able to continue replenishing that drone count.
I mean, this is a really weird-looking tab. MC's killed off 28 workers. Nerchio's killed off some. 13 roaches on the field in production. It's basically drones, infestors. Yeah, look at this. With 5 geysers up and running, Nerchio is going to be able to go for a big infestor transition, and that is just super cool.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, MC in that push that he actually went for, he only had 3 gateways actually powered while he was warping in initially, so he'd have waited a little bit. I mean, yes, there would have been more roaches out, but he would have still been able to warp in far more aggressively with a few more units and you know, kind of delay that in terms of the surprise factor.
Oh,
so
man.
it would have worked maybe even a little bit better.
Looks like Nerchio's doing his best to make sure he does not get caught with his pants down anymore. Massing up drones, pathogen glands starting now. 2 in each gas geyser. Nerchio, whoopsie doopsie daisies, taking his 6th. Will actually also be able to take this 4th around now. The only constriction is that he has no buddy. MC now getting ready to set up his expansion, and amazingly, this game is still going.
Yeah, Nerchio, though, rising up in terms of that supply count. He's getting tons of Zerglings as well as roaches out on the map right now. 140 supply to the 96 of
So many roaches get packed into a tiny pinpoint. The black hole of Protoss
blasted away.
Just packed them all together like he was like sealing them into some airtight vacuum bag like you store peanuts for hundreds of years. Oh, not the play that Nerchio would want to make, but wait a minute, what is this? No force fields from MC. Looks like he is out of energy on those sentries, and Nerchio correctly identified it, but MC is starting to reinforce with a lot of units. Now sending the probe down, can even take a 3rd in the midst of this.
Oh, meanwhile, MC does have full knowledge of how much Nerchio has there with that observer. So he knows that his opponent's force is waning a little bit here. 16 more roaches on the rape. Nice force field separating that off, but doesn't quite contain that too easily.
Gosh, nice play by MC, but if his force field was just 1 hex over, he could have killed off a whole pack of extra units. And now with these warp-in rounds, MC is pretty much relegated to just the brute force of these units. 163 food to 184. Soon enough, Nerchio is going to have those infestors. A terrible angle for MC. An absolutely awful angle for MC. The Roach is able to engage far away from these 4 Immortals. Oh, Nerchio, after that crazy amount of Warp Prism harassment, is now cleaning up the final push from MC. The 2-base all-inish niche from MC, thwarted by that Zerg. Good game, Nerchio.
That nice win. Oh, that was physically painful to watch and push up against the architecture there as Nerchio. I mean, if you go to that location, then it's force fields are never going to be as useful. You have to cover so much area to really separate your opponent's army at that point.
I actually think that if MC just expanded, he would have been in good shape. He would have been absolutely fine in terms of just taking that expansion up, getting himself a longer-term economy. Nerchio was just starting the transition into infestors, into the late game.
Interestingly enough, I mean, again, you know, a lot of people were picking Nerchio to be the favorite here, and I mean, with that game number 1, the way in which he handled what MC was throwing at him, he looked good. He looked very, very strong, spreading that creep between the 2 bases with the Overlords at that point.
I can't even believe that Nerchio was able to pull off that defense in his main. I thought what we were going to see is Nerchio killing off a bunch of workers in the natural of MC, and then we were going to head back to a decimated main for Nerchio, and that would have been a sort of reasonably even exchange. It would have been like a 2.5 base Zerg against a 1.5 base Protoss, but instead Nerchio actually kept his main alive somehow, amazingly, while still microing in the main, amazingly. That was so nice.
Again, it was one of those moments where he pulls the drones in order to be able to help his roaches. Sometimes you see, oh, well, all my roaches die, and then I'll pull the drones and be okay. But anyway, guys, we are going to send it over to Tastosis with a little bit of analysis.
Hey, guys. Here we are. We're going to do some analysis on exactly what won Nerchio that game, because it was pretty close. It looked for a bit like MC was going to take it. But let's just go ahead and jump into this replay and see the exact moment where MC's heart was broken.
You know, it's funny because when we saw that initial drop, I was blown away. You know, when he got that, 8 force fields in the ramp in a row, I thought, well, this is over.
The fact that he got this to work when there were still roaches up here, it was just so well done. MC had perfect force field timing, jumping in and out. So Nerchio just goes, well, I guess I have to counterattack. And you see here, this is not quite set up yet. He's trying to wall off. He's trying to make some cannons. But unfortunately, these roaches come close enough to actually hit them. And this is really the important part, because from here, MC has complete control of this game. He's harassing in here, he's killing drones, he's doing a great job. All he has to do is hold this area without taking too much damage from these roaches. So if we take a look, they are going to break through everything. The sentries are not quite enough. The cannons just don't get in there quite quick enough. And these roaches just do way too much. Look at this. He's going to start killing a lot, and he's killed so many already. The sentries, the buildings, he's disrupting the economy, he's killing everything, man.
No, absolutely. If you notice, this is a lot of sentries, it's a lot of gas. It didn't allow him to tech properly. Had he either walled in or had maybe 2 or 3 more cannons, the game probably would have gone to MC at that point in time.
Yeah, like if those cannons were warped in when the roaches got here, he holds, he doesn't lose any of these units. Imagine that push that he did again with this many more sentries, and also imagine that he had to start warping at home, so he couldn't warp in up here anymore. He couldn't kill the main base. So that's really how Nerchio ended up winning that.
It's funny because he blocked out so many roaches on the low ground, that the fact that he blocked at them and he made this attack so powerful. But, you know, if he had handled this a little bit better, noticing, okay, there's no roaches brushing up on the force fields, he probably could have prepared a little bit more quickly. Granted, it's pretty hard to actually prepare for that kind of attack, but in essence, that's what cost MC the game.
Indeed. Well, that is it for the analysis. Why don't we go ahead and throw it back to Day 9 and Caleres.